You know, it's funny you asked that, David. Um, I don't think anybody ever wakes up in the morning and thinks they want to be a city manager at all. I spoke to a group today, and they said one of the questions the kids at Galveston College asked me, they said, at what point did you know you were very comfortable in your job? And I said, I still don't know that. And, you know, the funny thing about Galveston is, and growing up here, is that you know that one of the big pastimes in Galveston is complaining about the city. And I knew that coming in here. I grew up in a home that did that. I mean, you know, there was always some running joke. My dad's best friend from high school was on city council, and oh my God, the jokes and the gags that went on through all that were crazy. So, you know, that's why I don't take this job. I take everything with a grain of salt. I know, first of all, most people aren't coming to the city with an issue unless they're having a really bad day. So, you know, my take on life has always been a little bit more lighthearted than some. Some people may not appreciate that, but you know, I'm never short of dad jokes. And, you know, I tell council all the time, my kids have all left the house now, so y'all are the only recipients I have of these really terrible dad jokes. So I try to share those around, and I try to keep things as lighthearted as we can because, you know, especially in today's world with national politics being so hostile and everything right now, people don't need that in their lives. What they need is to be able to come to their local government, get their problems solved, not feel hassled, and to have an enjoyable experience. And part of having an enjoyable experience is just being able to sit down and talk to somebody reasonably and actually enjoy the conversation. And that's one of the things I've always focused on since I've been city manager. There's a lot of times I can't deliver good news to people. There's a lot of times I can't tell people exactly what they want to hear. But you know, I try to tell them in a way that I understand it, and I try to do it in a way that I would want to be told. And I think of my parents now as they've gotten older and things, and I treat everybody like I would want them to be treated as well. So we try to do that. You know, being city manager in Galveston especially growing up here, it's just kind of different. I don't really know how somebody could just come in here from out of town and do this. I think, you know, I've seen it. I worked for a really great guy here when I first got here that wasn't from here. And it was always interesting. One of the things we talked about is he would say, I got to go to this place. Where is it? And I would describe it in terms of, okay, you go to so-and-so's house, you make a left, you go down there, and then you make a right at the old Globe. And if you go, you know, we do all those. And he had no clue what I was talking about. And I'm sorry, that's just Galveston. That's how we do it. So we try to be a little bit casual here. And the other thing too is that he was somebody that really liked to wear a suit every day, and I'm just not a suit person. Most of the people that come to see me in the course of a day are not wearing suits, and I don't think I'm any better than anybody else, probably far from that. And when they come in to see me, I want them to be as comfortable as they can. You're putting me on the spot. Well, well, I will tell you this, that the running joke when we would drive down Broadway with the kids is one of my daughters would always ask me, she would say, how many dead people are in that cemetery, Daddy? And I would tell her all of them. Oh, that is absolutely false. Matter of fact, it's so funny. My wife bought a dress that she looks simply stunning in. And when we were in the store, we both thought that dress was brown. She gets outside and we both looked at each other and she says, oh my God, this thing is burnt orange. And as beautiful as she looks in that dress hangs in her closet to this day because nobody in my household could stand for a burnt orange, anything being worn. We bleed maroon and it's just ingrained in us, and it's kind of strange, you know, but I don't know, maybe it was that Yarborough guy that ruined it for me. I don't know, but we're Aggies through and through. You know, it's funny when we talk about Galveston to look forward 10 years. I think it's important before we do that to actually kind of look back 10 years and let's see how much we've accomplished in the last 10 years. It's kind of easy for me to do. I've been doing this actually almost exactly 10 years now. So, you know, we're a city now that's in a much better place than we were 10 years ago. We've made pretty big drainage improvements, although some would argue that we're still trying to catch up on that. We've made a ton of street improvements in Galveston. We've added a lot of new parks. We've added new ball fields. We've increased our sports tourism presence. We've built new facilities. We have new fire department facilities. We've increased our fleet and improved our fleet for all of our guys. We've given them all the tools they need to do their job. We've really improved our technology here at the city. I mean, good Lord, you can read your own water meter from your phone now, and you know if you have a leak and all these things. We've made a lot of progress. You know, in an AI world, who knows what the next 10 years is going to hold for us as we move forward. But, you know, what I foresee is at least if I'm involved in it, there's going to be more of the same. We're going to continue. We try to pave a street in Galveston every day, good Lord willing, with the weather and equipment willing. You know, we continue to move forward with massive drainage projects, including pumping and things like that, that really, really, really will benefit the citizens of Galveston as we go forward. We have staff actively engaged in the process of the Ike Dike and trying to get that. That's going to be a game changer for Galveston. And we continue to work on some of the other things that, you know, things we've done in the last 10 years we've been very successful of, but that's created other ripples. We have a workforce housing discussion going on right now, and we need to be working on that not only in Galveston, but reaching across the bridge and working with our partners in the cities up there. You know, we have a lot of workers. Galveston imports workers every day. We certainly have more jobs here than we have people to work in them. So we need to really be working across all levels with that. You know, we continue to evolve and change in our tourism industry. We're getting a much higher level spending tourist than we used to get, which is really good. And you're seeing that in a lot of different ways. You're seeing that in the results in our hotel occupancy tax and in our sales tax, but you're also seeing it in the caliber and the types of restaurants and stores that we're getting now. We're no longer a tea shop or shell shop only kind of place. Those will always have a place and importance here, but you're seeing more and more an expanded visitor that comes here. You're seeing extended stays. So it's really interesting how we're going to evolve. But I think the next 10 years are going to really, really fine tune a lot of what we've done in the last 10 years. Of course, you know, we talked about the next 10 years and we touched on drainage. Drainage is always going to be a challenge. We're an island. Drainage has been a challenge to this island. I mean, I've been here 56 years now, and it's been a challenge my whole life, my parents' whole life, my grandparents' whole life. But we're making improvements. We're not getting a lot of cooperation from Mother Nature. Given the climate change conditions that we're dealing with, we're certainly dealing with higher tides, more frequent high tides. We're dealing with more severe weather events. We're dealing with more frequent hurricanes. Even our rain events now, what used to be a 100-year rain event is a 25-year rain event for us. So these are all challenges for us. And quite honestly, Mother Nature's changing faster than we could ever raise funds to do this. So we are really working hard, not only on engineering improvements for these things, but also seeking the funding to do it, because there's no way the local taxpayers in Galveston could afford to foot the bill for what needs to happen. So we continue to work with our state and federal partners on these things, either through FEMA or through the General Land Office or other granting agencies. And that's basically, we have not come out of pocket much at all for these pump stations that are going in. We're under construction now out on the Offutt's Bio Pump Station. We're going to probably be awarding the contracts here within the next 45 days for the 14th Street Pump Station, which will drain a big chunk of the East End. We are actively seeking funding for the additional pump stations, 37th Street and another one for downtown, that'll really start moving this water. Now keep in mind, these pump stations are not here for hurricanes. They're here for your usual big heavy rain events that don't involve a massive tidal event. A massive tidal event is going to put water over the docks at the port. It's going to, you know, that's where the pump stations are going to be less effective. But on your average rain events like we've had here recently, they're going to do a big deal for us. And what they're going to do is they're not going to completely eradicate flooding, but what they are going to do is they are going to dramatically hasten drainage. And that's important to point out, because I'm sure there'll be those that come around and say, my goodness, you've put all these pump stations in and it rained and the street's still flooded. Well, yes, I mean, unfortunately, going back, and I guess we could thank some of my earlier family members that were involved in stuff like this. But if you look at it, the streets in Galveston were designed to be retention areas for the city. We don't have retention ponds. We don't have big open drainage ditches. So the streets are designed to hold water. And in recent years, because of the high tide capacities, the streets actually have to fill up with water in order to push the water out of the drains. They have to build up head pressure. So, and of course, Galveston is kind of a different thing too, in that we're not draining to these near located ponds and drainage ditches. We're draining the island through a series of straws. And you know, a drop of water that falls on 45th and U has to travel several miles before it gets an outfall. So that also tends to slow things down. So our goal is to keep these pipes as empty as we can, so that provides us a little bit of retention, and it also allows us to move the water. I think these pump stations are going to be game changers when they come into play. And a lot of the work we're doing now, and that's another big misunderstanding, we are actively working ahead of the pump stations, trying to get as much infrastructure underground as we can, because we know that we're going to start moving a large volume of water at a much more rapid pace that a lot of these old drainage systems, some of which when I started here were still wood, will fail under those type of water movements. So we're out here actively trying to replace a lot of these drainage systems like we did on 45th Street, like we did over around 33rd Street and others, to more actively move and be able to move the water faster. Some people say, you did all this drainage work, it still floods. Well, we're not finished yet. So we're getting there. And we probably have not done as good a job as we should have explaining that a lot of this is just pre-work to that. In terms of the actual major tidal events, we're really hoping that we can work with the federal government and the state to get this levee system built. And of course, what we're putting in terms of pumps are already being designed and to incorporate into that, because some of what is off its bio and others may end up being big retention basins, and that's where we're going to be pumping to. Well, you know, it was started, the Turtle Conservancy, I think that's the proper name for it. They wanted to create awareness about this. And of course, going back to even when I worked on the beach when I was in college, the turtle thing was just really starting to go, because you had the turtle nesting and all those things. So it really got kicked off that way, but I don't think there's ever been the awareness that there is now, given all the turtles about town. That has brought an awareness that, you know, people, unless you were from Galveston, you were probably just the person that was really ticked off that you got a paper straw. So, and you didn't understand why. But the turtle statues have really brought about an awareness to this. And so much so that you know, if there's as much as a turtle anywhere now, the phones start ringing and everybody gets notified. So they're really in a much better place than they were before. And that's really thanks to these statues all over town. Plus, they have become a tourist attraction in and of themselves, a really good thing for Galveston. And they allowed a lot of local Galveston businesses and people to kind of put their personal touch on things. You know, we have ours here that's half police, half fire. You see them all over town. I think it's a really cool thing. I think more of that is a good thing for Galveston. Let's talk a little bit about the summer. Okay, we're getting ready to enter the summer tourist season. You know, I think, fingers crossed, we're not going to have any early hurricanes this year. And given that, and given all the work that's been done in the city, and the fact that we kind of have, I think, a little pent-up demand from last year because we had such an awful summer with the storm, that compounded with the fact that with the economy being so uncertain, we get a lot of what I would call near visitors that come to us, which makes Galveston a very popular destination. This is going to be a busy summer. If you've tried to get around Galveston even today, we've got the big Mustang Club in town, we've got the Children's Festival downtown, we've got all these things. The town is already really going crazy today. I'm already getting calls upstairs. Why, you know, in Galveston it becomes an immediate crisis if your 4-minute commute goes to 6 to 8 minutes. That becomes an urgent emergency for everybody, including my mother. So you want to make sure that everybody knows we're going to have a busy summer, and you might have to bring out your summer routes in Galveston a little early.